What's going on, Pizza Family? We back at it again. Pizza King Podcast. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed, the Pizza King, bringing you tips, tricks, advice, and support on your journey to becoming a successful, profitable pizzeria. I've been in this business, like I've said before, over 20 years. I think we're at 22. This is year 22 now, and I'm using my experience and my knowledge and really the lessons that I've learned to come here and bring you, some value to what you're doing every single week. So I appreciate every person that has been rocking with us through this. We're on episode 11 now. It's just we've just been getting more and more downloads every week, every episode. More people reaching out, more feedback. We released the checklist, the new store opening checklist. That's going well. A lot of people have downloaded that, reached out. We got the ad running on Instagram for that, so a lot of folks have interacted with it. So just appreciate everybody that has been along for the ride, and wishing nothing but success to all of those folks, to all of you folks here, and continued success even for us in our business as well. So with that being said, we'll get into this week's episode. I want to talk about you know the P&L. I want to talk about the ugly side, not the ugly side, but the other side that for me is the not so fun side of doing this in business, but it's the necessary side of it. So I want to spend a little bit of time just kind of talking through how you should be reading and using and understanding as you hear Oliver walk out of the room. Don't come back. But I want to talk about how you're using your P&L. Like, are you even getting P&Ls? Are you using it the right way? What's the right frequency for it? Is it, are you growing your business? Are you truly profitable? Because at a certain point, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. There's a point where you can be losing money and not even know it if your sales are enough. Like, if you're because you know how it goes. It's money in, it's money out. It's money in, it's money out. And if the money that's coming in is, if you're generating enough revenue, you can float for a while losing money and not realizing until it's too late. Meaning you haven't been listening to the story that the P&L is trying to tell you, or you haven't been taking heed to the things that are glaring on that report. So I just wanted to talk through that a little bit today. First, I want to get into, well, even before Pizza of the Week, check out my shirt. Pizza that makes you scream. That's from Pizza King of Texas, Lee City. Shout out to my guy Dodie out there. Pizza King. Go follow them on Instagram. Go follow them on TikTok. Their shit is live. So, when I make my way out to that Houston area, or I think they're like right outside of Houston. When I make my way over there, I'm going to Pizza King, and I'm coming to work because I got the shirt. Don't play with me. I'm coming to work. Put me in the video. But this week I want to, pizza of the week. I made two pizzas, and I wanted to kind of do this, the battle of the deep dish, the Chicago style deep dish versus the Detroit style deep dish. And we made both in the shop last week. And me personally, I am a big fan of the Chicago style deep dish, even though it's a monster of a pizza to make and eat. And I can work through some of the execution on it. I shamelessly just watching videos from Giordano's on on TikTok and decided to make it. But I've tried Detroit a couple of times. Actually, one of the kids that works with us, Matt, was there with me on Tuesday night, and he's like, "Have you ever tried to make one of those Chicago style deep dish pizzas?" I'm like, "Shit, grab it." I never made one. I'm like, "Grab the pan. Let's try to figure it out." And it came out pretty good. Now, obviously, when you've been in the kitchen long enough, and you've been tossing pies and you've been doing a bunch of different things, you can pretty well execute just about anything that you see, to some degree. Now, was it good enough to put on my menu and sell it? No, but it was good. We tore it up. Here's what I'll tell you about that Chicago style deep dish. Cook it longer. And I cooked it for about 30 minutes. It probably could have went another 20 minutes in the oven because it's that much pizza, like dough, sauce, cheese. There's so much cheese. There's just so much going on. It's like a pie. You can bake that thing. And I'm cooking. I'm in the blotches, and I'm cooking at 550 on top. Usually I'm about 575, 600 on the bottom of it. But I cooked that thing for a long time, and I could have cooked it longer. So that was the lesson. That was the lesson that I learned from cooking that. Was I can cook that a whole lot longer. Detroit's we made a few Detroit style pies, and the square pan pizza. I really like that. Mine's come out a little bit on the thin side just because of the style of dough we use. We make New York style pizza, so it's not necessarily as airy as some of the other dough formulations, but still a very good pizza in its own right. Probably even more popular and more tasty, in my opinion, than the Chicago, just because you get that crispy cheese edge. You got a nice dough profile. The dough kind of gets lost in the Chicago style. I won't lie; it becomes more about the cheese, the sauce, and the toppings because of the way that you have to eat it. But on that Detroit square, like that's like a full on pizza experience, and I'm a big fan of that. So I can't choose a favorite. I love them both. I love them all. Um, but in the store, I think the Detroit the Detroit was more popular that night, or one in the side by side that night, just because the execution wasn't 100% on the Chicago. So we bring it back, and maybe I'll do it again. We'll bring it back, try it again, and execute it a little bit better, and see if that helps sway the judges. And mind you, the judges are totally biased. They like what we do, but they also love when we do something different. So that's just how it is. If you want to judge, come holler at me. You know where the shop is at. We in Brandon, Florida. Come on by. But it was really fun to make those. Have you know online and on Instagram, and with all the connections that we're making, you see so many different styles of pies and so many types of folks that are making pies, so many types of pies that are getting made out there. Detroit is getting real popular. I don't see a lot of folks making Chicago style deep dish, but I do see a lot of folks making Detroit style, pan deep dish pan pizza. So obviously it's gaining some pop, not gaining some popularity. That shit's probably been popular long before I was ever making pizza, but certainly a fantastic pizza and a fantastic pizza eating experience when it's done the right way. So shout out to both of those styles of pizza. So we had a little versus battle: the Detroit style square pizza versus the Chicago round deep dish pizza. And I don't know, we play and we have fun, and it's different. Also made another pizza earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, the week before last. But we've been trying to figure out a way to use the hot honey on a pizza that's not just like a cup and char pepperoni or a double pet pizza or something like that, which you see a lot of folks do. And nothing against that. It's delicious. It's beautiful, but I don't want to do it the same way that everybody else does it. So we've been thinking of different ways to use that hot honey. And I was working on something, and we've been talking. Excuse me, I have to go back. In addition to using the hot honey, we've been talking about a way to use our sweet red chili sauce, which is one of our wing sauces. Not a very popular sauce, delicious sauce. Kind of has that, I don't know, kind of like a Thai kind of flavor to it. It's sweet red chili. Absolutely amazing sauce. Sweet Baby Ray's. We use Sweet Baby Ray's for all of our sauces, by the way, except our house made hot, medium, and mild sauce. But all of our other sauces are Sweet Baby. So shout out to Sweet Baby. Let me get the sponsor. Let me get the affiliate. Give me something. And but been trying to find a way to use the Sweet Baby's sweet red chili sauce. And so I, just started messing around, threw some down as a base, dropped some fried chicken on it, put some bacon, way over the top with the garlic knot crust. That's not something I'm gonna do on a regular basis. That was cool though, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sell a pizza with the garlic knot crust. It's too much. I want to be fast. But threw the bacon on it, garlic knot crust, cooked it up, pulled it out, dropped it with, obviously hit it with the garlic butter crust, hot honey drizzle over the top. Fire, fire pizza. So I threw it out there online to say, hey, look, help me name it. And shout out to my homegirl Autumn in Michigan, because she was like, that's some South Side heat right there. And if you know me, Southside Lansing, that's where I spent a lot of my time growing up. I'm an East Sider. I'm born and raised on the East Side, but I spent a lot of time on the South Side with my family over there. So as an ode to the South Side of Lansing, Michigan, we can call that boy Glenburn, the Glenburn. So here, that's get ready for that. That'll hit our secret menu probably this weekend. Once I get back to the shop. This dude, he just won't let anybody cut grass in his neighborhood without him letting them know how he feels about it. All right, like I was saying, the Glenburn, that's coming. That's coming on the secret menu. So if you're in the Tampa, Brandon area, and you want to check that out, check us out. Our secret menu is available online. We also do everything on Uber Eats as well. So if you're outside of our delivery zone and you need that, order on Uber. Q&A this week was interesting. I had a couple of good questions, and they actually kind of tie into what I wanted to discuss today. So it all kind of runs together. The first question came from Instagram, from a pizzeria that we kind of follow each other and talk a little bit. And it simply says, is there such a thing as work excuse me, is there such a thing as work life balance in this business? Is there such a thing as work life balance in this business? And how do I put this without being discouraging, right? I think like anything, it becomes a matter. Well, first off, it's all relative to what your idea of all relative to your idea of what the life side of work life balance looks like, right? Some people, they don't, the balance is in the work. Like, my life is in this shop, my life is doing these pods, my life is in growing our business or whatever that is, and that's 1000% okay. For some folks, the life side might be, I need to be able to spend as much time as I can with my family. My kids are growing. I need to coach the soccer team. I need to be able to take these vacations. I need to be able to do these things. And that's also perfectly okay. And I would tell you that balance is achievable based on how you prioritize your balance. So, is it harder in the beginning, especially when you're starting out and you don't have people, or you don't have leadership in place? It's hard to get those, to put yourself in a position to be away from the shop. And that's what I'm assuming is meant by the work life balance. How can I comfortably step away from this business for a day, a week, 2 weeks, um, to handle some of the things that I need to do? Like, how do I build that in? And it starts first with prioritizing what needs to be, what that balance looks like for you. But then you also need to work on developing people to take some things off of your plate, because if you're missing the work life balance, the chances are you're probably doing way more jobs than what you need to be doing, or you're wearing way too many hats. And that's easy to do. And as a business owner, you do everything better than everybody else, but you're gonna have to start training some people to take some of those things off of your plate. Pardon me. Come on, bro. I'm trying to record. But you're gonna have to train some folks to take some of these things off of your plate in order for you to have some peace and some balance in your life. Does that come easily? No, it comes with time, and it comes with like football. Sometimes the best move is to drop back and punt. Sometimes you put some effort into some things, and then it shows you that it's not gonna work. And you got to go back to the drawing board. You've been training somebody for a month to take over the scheduling process, and then that person leaves, so now you got to start back over. And there's always going to be ups and downs. Sometimes you lose a person and you got to step into a role. But as long as you're clear about, hey, these are what our goals are, this is what I want to do, and I want to make it a priority to have this environment where people are trained, where people are cross trained, where people support each other. And if I'm away, then somebody steps in, or if this person is away, then I can step in. That becomes much more easier to manage from a work life balance standpoint than it just being you. I always recommend having, partnerships are tough, right? In business, partnerships are extremely tough because financially, people don't always see things the same way. But if you get to a situation where you can operate with a partner, that helps you create that balance. And I love the partnership that I'm in with JR and our partners, because we know that no matter what, we got it. Like, we're going to take care of it, and we prioritize taking care of the shop and doing things that are going to continue to push our business forward. But we also make it a point to prioritize our family life and our time away, and building in the quality in those moments. So, like, and that's the other piece of advice. I say quality over quantity, and quantity gets better, gets increases over time, but the quality should always be top notch. No matter if you're starting out and you're only getting 1 day a week off, make that shit count until you can get 2 days, until you can get 3 days, until you can take a vacation. Don't be in two places. Don't have one foot in and one foot out. Don't, the shop's gonna be okay for a couple of hours without you. I promise you. Empower your people. That's gonna be the key to doing it. You gotta empower some people, and you gotta create systems that allow you to step away. So we can go into that forever, but I just wanted to say, absolutely, it is achievable. It takes time. It takes investment in people. People it takes trusting people. It takes people breaking that trust sometimes, so that you know where you can and can't, you know assign or align responsibilities. But then you stay at it and you stick with it. So I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. Second question is, this one was actually a really good one. This one was really about one of the tougher parts of the business. How do you part ways with someone when performance isn't the problem? Meaning, translation, my payroll's out of control. I gotta figure this out. I'm paying somebody way more than I can afford to pay them, and they're doing a good job, but the business can't afford to do that. And that's a hard one to do. And the next segment is really the answer to this question, but I'll state this, or I'll answer it by saying this. You have a responsibility as a business owner. And look, don't get me wrong. And you'll say, T, but you said, and I did say it. And I said it and I meant it, but I also want you to understand that that comes from a different place. Yes, you have to invest in people. Yes, you have to continue to grow and build your team. But you have a responsibility as the steward of this business to be financially and fiscally responsible for the longevity of your business. So if you're irresponsibly, like, you hire people, but you don't have to hire people that you're not ready for. You got to make a tough decision, and that's a hard thing to say to some folks. Like, this isn't working. But do you want to be, this person who created this wonderful short-term economy for folks, or do you want to be a staple in the community for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Like, you can have a couple good summers and pay people, way more than what they're valued and what they're worth. And that's the ugly side of this business. Like, we just can't afford to do it all, right? I mean, things cost. But you gotta make these tough decisions. And if I'm working with you, or if you're, somebody that I talk to, I'm going to tell you, one of the best decisions that we ever made as partners in our business was that we never ever let our egos get involved. We try not to make too many decisions based on emotion. We try to look at every decision as, is this to the benefit or the detriment of our business? And when we can break it down to those simple to those two simple buckets. Is it going to help our business or hurt our business? That helps us stay balanced in our decision making processes. So, you know, I would never tell you that you should get rid of a person, because I'm a people person. I love people. I want to find a way to make it work. But I would say that it's to your benefit to at least have a conversation with that person and say, look, this is where we at. Maybe the overtime got to go, or maybe we can try to find some balance or something. But or I can try to find a way to continue to make you, get you a role that is more productive for you. But we are no longer in a season where we can overpay people to do less work. And that's the reality of this business. Minimum wage is going up all over the country. And we can no longer afford to overpay people to do less. It's just, I mean, you're honestly getting to the point where you have to pay people less to do more. And that's the reality. Like, we're finding ways to do more for less. You can't pay more. You can't do less for more. So to avoid that, my piece of advice, and I'm just looking at my notes, that's why it just came to me. My piece of advice, and some of the best piece of, and I'm not here to give HR advice. I'm not an HR professional, but some of the best advice that I've gotten from an HR professional was to hire slow and fire fast. Hire slow, have the conversations, vet people out, set the expectations, do, you know, job previews, do demo days or things like that, so that you get a set the person that you're looking to hire, especially if it's in a leadership position, or a specialty role like a pizza guy or something like that. Make sure you set all of the expectations right from the beginning, because if if you do get to the unfortunate event that you have to part ways, at least it's not coming under these false pretenses like, listen, I told you this is what our goals were, this is where we are, this is this is where we needed to be, this is where we are, and I got to make up this gap. And unfortunately, that means that we got to make some hard decisions. And then fire fast. you know the other ugly side of this business is that you're always exposed. As a business owner, you're always exposed to some kind of claim or litigation or insurance claim, or there's exposure on all sides of you, right? And the human resources, the people side of it, becomes some of your biggest exposure points. And the way that we handle these situations could leave you out there in situations you don't want to be in. So learn your laws, learn your local rules and regulations and laws around how the employment processes work. But where I'm at in Florida, no reason is the best reason. I'm sorry, we don't need you anymore. And it is a tough conversation to have, but it's a necessary conversation to have. A lot of people fire themselves, right? Especially kids and things like that. But sometimes there's moments where you got to part ways with people you don't want to part ways with, or that you don't really have. There was no reason other than the business can't support it. And those are hard conversations, but you have a business to tend to. So pull them up, march in there and have that conversation, and keep your runway going so you can take off in this thing. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by trying to do too much. But that really comes down to what I wanted to talk about today, which is the P&L. The P&L is a tool, and it's not a report. The P&L is not a report. That was, I think, that may be what we titled it. P&L is a tool, not a report. The P&L is a tool, not a report. So you have to use it to improve your business. It's telling you a story every single month or every week or quarter or whatever frequency that you are having these reports generated, this tool generated. It's useless if you don't act on the information that is given you. So you got to take the time to understand your P&L. You know, if you're getting it from a CPA, make sure you take that time, especially as an owner, take that time and go sit down and have those meetings and have those discussions. Don't just get the email and then say okay and then you don't even look at it. No, talk about it, because there are gaps and there are things in there. And if you're if you're in this business and you're doing this and you're not making money, there's probably a good reason why. And if you're not looking at the P&L, you're missing that reason, and you're probably missing the solution to it, especially if you're doing sales. I read a book, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And it was basically based on an accounting principle where, things like profit and taxes and um, utilities and all these different, you start to have all these different, categories and buckets of expenses. And as sales come in and as sales are generated, you start to make allotments almost on a daily basis. And you know how in our business, we get paid every day. Credit card deposits are hitting every day, a little bit of cash, nowadays, but not much. But you're getting deposits every day. So you gotta, you can start to make allotments to things like, having a dedicated profit bucket, or and an operating expense account or things like that. So it's a very good book. I highly recommend it. But the principle behind it, the reason I brought it up was, if you're not making profit in your business and your business is doing sales, then the profit is probably getting lost on some unnecessary expenses. That profit is sitting there. This profit is probably sitting there. Your salary, your paycheck is going out the door in the form of something that you don't need or don't use or don't want or don't even know that you're paying for. If you're not digging into your P&L every single month, I recommend weekly as a review with, like with your team, with your leadership team, your managers, your team leaders, your staff. Having a weekly pulse on the financial health of your business helps you react quicker and make adjustments and, really change the course for the rest of the month. Monthly is great because you get to see a more clear picture of how the expenses went for the month, and what you actually brought in, and you know from an accuracy standpoint, monthly is going to be great. But weekly helps you make decisions and do things. I remember having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and he's got a restaurant, and we had the same conversation. Like, dude, if it's with the sales that you're doing, you should be making this amount, at least this amount of money. And if you're not, then there's something going on. And I'm like, man, dig into your expenses and see where it's at. I bet you can find it. And we talked the next day. He found 150,000 in unnecessary expenses in one night. When you start looking at contracts, linen contracts that you're getting overcharged for, you're supposed to be paying this amount and they're overcharging you. Or you're looking at, you know, inventory on a shelf that never got used. You got $1,000 in cleaning products, and you're still on a every week frequency with this company. There's so many little things that creep into your checking account, your operating account as a business owner, that if you don't take the time to really balance and keep those things in line, it can get out of hand quick. It can get out of hand quick. You can find thousands of dollars just by staying in tune with that part of it. And I know that's not the fun part, because the fun, for at least for me, the fun part is putting on the apron, tossing pies and having fun, music on, laughing and, interacting with customers and, doing, having jokes and doing stuff with the team. That's the fun part. The ugly part is what happens. The not so fun part is what happens, you know, those 2 hours before we open, or, after we close and we're having these conversations, or when we're looking at reports, or it's time to start, you know, talking about our quarterly distribution and things like that. That's where we got to make those adjustments. My partner and I, and I'm a big fan of it. JR and I, we talk not almost every, we talk every single day. And we talk about how we get better every day. Sometimes we make decisions that we got to walk back because we thought it was going to work and it didn't work. And next thing you know, we're doing something different. That can be taxing on the staff, but our staff knows that we're doing everything that we can to make the business better for all of us. So they roll with it. And that's a whole other lesson in transparency and communication. But we always do things to try to help improve our business, and that helps get everybody else on that page too. So um, the P&L tells a whole lot of those stories. What else do we have? I'm just looking through my notes. Where's your break even point? Yeah, where's your break even point? That's really gonna be the first step. Understanding your break even, and you should know where your break even is before you ever open those doors. Based on rent, based on industry averages, you should understand where your break even point is. Meaning, where do sales, where do income and expenses meet? And then once we start pushing income past expenses, now we're talking about profitability. Expenses still rise as income goes up because labor costs goes along, cost of goods start to rise as you do more sales. But some of the fixed costs don't change, and that's where profitability happens, right? So you're here, then you start doing more sales, and it's going up, and it's going up, and it's going up, and it's going up, and this one's rising slowly, but this one's going fast, and then you start to make more money. And I'm sorry for anybody that didn't see this on video. I just realized I'm talking on audio and I'm giving you hand gestures. Sorry about that. But but basically, as your sales start to increase and your expenses do go up, but not at the same rate. So understanding where your break even point is helps you understand, you know, the likelihood of profitability in that business. Um, Break even, and y'all know me. I got a tool. You want to see the break even analysis? Email me. I'll send it to you. I'll show you mine. We do that on, and I probably talked about this before, but I do break even on anything that we look at because we need to know, like, is this, if we don't see a realistic path to break even, then there's not even any reason for us to get into something because, who the hell wants to open up something and not make no money? You know, I already got one. I already got a store. I don't need another one just to lose money. So just making sure that we understand financially what we're getting into before we get into it helps us out a lot. See what else we have. Shortening the window allows for quicker corrections. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I said before, when it comes to working with dealing with the team and the folks that are, on at the store level, in and every single day, having a weekly pulse on how we performed gives you the opportunity to really to correct course and do things. Because if you're talking, we can't have a labor discussion 30 days later. That just don't make any sense. Like if labor's out of whack and it's going to affect our profitability, we need to know now. Like we need to know in real, as close to real time as possible. So at minimum, I would say weekly. If you have the kind of tools in place like a Margin Edge or the Restaurant 360 or something, what's the one, or Phobisoft? I like Phobisoft. Phobisoft, hit me up. If you like, or something like that, use it. Use a tool because that helps you make the adjustments much quicker than waiting on a monthly report from an accountant or a CPA. You see, like weekly, monthly, and monthly you got to do anyways. Oh, and then the last note, it says you could be losing money without even knowing it if your cash reserves are high enough. So if you came into this and you got some pretty strong, you had a nice bit of cash set up to operate, and you're open and you're running in the red, you could run in the red for a while if your cash reserves are, big enough. But that's scary if you're doing that. Now running in the red and understanding why you're in the red and understanding that you're growing, that's one thing. But running in the red blindly and just watching your cash dwindle, that's scary. That's losing sleep. So get into that P&L, check that thing out, and make the adjustments. It's a tool. It's not a report. It's a tool. So understand what it's telling you and get back into your business and make the necessary adjustments. All right, and then my last segment, we're just gonna talk about. I got one team building tip for you this week, and it's very simple. Plant seeds daily for development. Ask questions, pass along a tip, share a book. We're not always in this hire and train and develop mode, especially when your staff is settled and you got a pretty stable business. But you still need to stay planting those seeds of development in your folks, and that all ties back into having that balance, right? When you're constantly in, and I'm a gardener, so I'm always making these references and things like that. But when you're always, pouring into the growth or giving somebody a little bit of light or, giving a little bit of water, planting seeds here, planting seeds here. Hey, you ever thought about this? You ever read this book? You ever seen, oh, did you see what this company did? Like little stuff, share that knowledge because that helps folks, even folks that aren't even close to being ready, change a little bit of their mindset when it comes to leadership and development and growth in the business to, I didn't think about it like that. And then what happens? They start bringing you stuff. It's like, dang, okay, plant the seeds. Like I said, ask questions, pass on tips, articles, books, any of that. So water, nurture. Oh, here's the line: it says, plant seeds, water, and nurture your team like a gardener. The beauty is in the growth because you're gonna see growth. You're gonna see new sprouts. You're gonna see new ideas and light bulbs going off on folks. So get out there, plant those seeds, take care of your folks, but also remember what I said. Take heed to what the P&L is telling you. There's always something that can be done in there. Don't let your expenses get out of hand. I think we should do a whole episode just on breaking down what expenses really look like. I know we talked about startup costs and what a new store opening could look like financially, but I think we need to just have an episode just on what the day-to-day expenses look like in a shop because I think and usually in business there are a lot of misconceptions that there's just money flowing freely. So I think we owe it to any aspiring pizzeria owner to break down what the ongoing expenses look like in a pizza shop. So stay tuned for that one. But that's all I got for you today. Pizza King Podcast. I'm your boy Tyrell Reed. Tap in with me. Instagram at Pizza King Podcast. Personal page at Tyrell Reed Senior. You can get any of the things that I talk about. The new store opening checklist. I still got the 21-day leadership course. All that's available at tyrellreed.com, or just DM me or email me or text me if you got my number and say, T, send me the stuff, man. I'm trying to get going. I'm always here for you. Again, appreciate everybody rocking with me. Go leave those reviews, go leave those ratings. Tap back in for the next episode. Peace.